Holy crap, guys. Xbox is on fire with Game Pass as we have so many games to cover. I'm Sonny, your host, and we start with leaks from what looks like Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered. There was these screenshots leaked from a website called Virtuous. Here we can see a few glimpses of what the game's going to look like compared to its 2006 counterpart. I played this as a kid back in the day and beat it. I'm really excited. I don't remember what the game's like. It's been that long, and this is a good one that hopefully we do get to see on drop on Game Pass. I'm definitely assuming we will, so we'll have to keep an eye out for this one. And with that, we have a unique game coming to Game Pass in Neon White. This is a first-person action game that's all about taking out demons in heaven as a special assassin picked from hell itself to compete against those demons at a chance at living a glorious life permanently in heaven, which I gotta say, it sounds insane on its surface, but I love it. But what makes this game unique is you'll collect these soul cards from dead demons that give you a unique ability, and it's your quick thinking and wits and how you use these abilities that'll propel you to victory. It's a game with over 10,000 overwhelmingly positive user reviews, and it's been well loved since its 2022 release. This one is set for Game Pass on consoles on April 16th. So Spongebob SquarePants, the Patrick Star game, tumbles into Game Pass this month, and it's an interesting one as it's dubbed an open world playground where you get to play Patrick and explore a physics-based world, meaning you take Patrick and you can kind of go all around Bikini Bottom doing a lot of silly things like skydiving with a parasol or searching for treasure or interacting with almost anything you see in the world, including iconic characters like SpongeBob, Squidward, Krusty Krab, and more. And this is possibly just a great game to just relax and sit back and have some fun. Maybe a good game for the kiddos. Either way, this one does arrive on Game Pass on April 16th on cloud, console, and PC. And from something wholesome to something sinister but so much fun and totally exciting for me anyways, is a game called Crime Scene Cleaner. Yet one of those simulators, another one of those simulators, but instead of running a store or a gas station, you work for the mob because you're trying to save your daughter's life and pay the hospital bill. So you're doing something pretty nuts, and that means cleaning up crime scenes, starting with your bucket and mop and just getting to work. And you'll bust out a power washer, cleaning those deep places of blood, upgrading equipment as you take on these bigger missions, or maybe while in a mission, taking off that expensive watch off that dead body and kind of hoping that you can get away with it and nobody notices. No matter how gruesome it gets, at the end of the day, it is about saving your daughter. This is a fun game with tons of people loving it. It has over 20,000 overwhelmingly positive user reviews, and I think this is kind of a must play for those who are looking for something really unique in gaming. This one does land on Game Pass on April 17th. So another big Far Cry game is headed our way, this time in Far Cry 4, which I gotta say is now somewhat of an old school game. This dropped all the way back in 2014, but it did come to great reviews, things like a 80 Metacritic score, and this time we're in the Himalayas in Kirat, where we're hoping to fulfill our mother's dying wish by laying her ashes, but instead you're actually caught in a deadly civil war where they're trying to overthrow a dictator named Pagan Min, which you'll now be caught in. As always, you're getting that true traditional Far Cry experience in this one, a good looking open world, multiple endings depending on the choices you make, a ton of quests to follow, bigger than even the previous Far Cry games like Far Cry 3, not so much like the modern ones, but bigger in scope to some of those previous ones. Of course, you'll have things like taking over those strongholds and having tons of weapons to find. Far Cry 4 is one of the more loved ones. This one does land on Game Pass on April 30th. We have an awesome city builder from Ubisoft making its way to Game Pass in ANNO 1800. And if you ever thought, wouldn't it be cool to maybe build up a city from the ground up in the Industrial Revolution in the 1800s? Well, you're gonna have your chance here. Obviously, with city builders like this, it really tests your planning skills at things like, creating efficient logistic networks, setting up trade, setting up factories, even setting out expeditions and searches for riches and even fame to bring back to your city. You will also go up against other AI rulers as you try to win either by diplomacy, trade, or even war. There are several game modes as well, campaign, sandbox, and even a little multiplayer experience if you can find that. Cool thing is this one's also headed for consoles as well as PC and cloud on Xbox Game Pass on May 1st. So we have the game Dredge coming to Game Pass, and don't let the looks fool you, as this has been one of the more popular indie games of the past few years, and for good reasons. This is kind of like a horror fishing game, or at least it kind of dubs itself, but it's got some cool stuff. So you'll fish and you'll sell your fish while sailing to different towns and exploring, and gradually you'll be improving your boat, your equipment. But not only is there like fish to catch, but there's some pretty horrible, creepy fish to discover, and some that are just insanely massive. I think I read that the game has about 125 different species, but don't quote me on that. So that's pretty cool. level. There is secrets a litter throughout the game to find as well, not just fish, and there's also a story to be explored. So it's one of the more unique games to have arrived in the recent indie scene in recent years as well. And this one does have over 35,000 people who have overwhelmingly loved it. So this is a really good get for Game Pass as it sails onto it on May 6th. Now, in case you missed it, EA Sports NHL 25's on Game Pass. This new iteration has a new gameplay intelligence system that really challenges your skills, and this one is already available to play on the cloud and the Xbox Series X and S. So let's talk about something pretty big here. GTA 5, guys, is making a return to Game Pass after being away for a while, and honestly, the timing couldn't be better. We just got the enhanced version of the game for PC, and while I'm not about to dive into the whole is it worth it debate, it does come with some pretty nice upgrades. There's better visuals, faster load times, 3D audio, and even more exclusive content for GTA Online. Both standard and Ultimate Game Pass subscribers will have access to all versions for both console and PC, and if you're jumping into GTA Online, there's more good stuff waiting like new vehicles, mod options, chameleon paints, and a bunch of upgrades over at How's Special Works. Also, don't miss the latest update, the Oscar Guzman files again. GTA 5 is set to hit Game Pass and Game Pass PC on April 15th. So we have Hunt Showdown 1896. This has been around on console Game Pass for some time, and people have been loving this game for some time as well, but now it's finally making its way to PC Game Pass. So if you're on PC, get ready to jump into this really brilliant and unique PvPvE survival game. This is a must play if you're into teaming up with friends to hunt down terrifying bosses, all while fending off against other rival players trying to steal your bounty. This one gets really intense, especially with the limited resources, the creepy atmosphere, and sudden enemy encounters. Hunt Showdown 1896 drops on PC Game Pass this April 15th. We have this quirky little puzzle game called Tempopo, which is really unlike anything we've seen. In this game, you're tasked to bring a scattered garden of musical flowers back in order, and to do that, you have to do it with the help of these cute little monsters called Tempopos who can help you get your garden back in shape, but you have to guide them across a wide variety of tiny islands by solving clever puzzles that require some serious planning. It's a fun game, especially for someone who loves small bits of puzzles and a sense of accomplishment. Tempopo is set to drop on Game Pass on April 17th. So we are getting really close to one of the most intense looking tactical RPGs we've seen in some time, Clair Obscure Expedition 33. This one, you take control of these expeditioneers on a mission to take down an evil goddess who's been wiping out their loved ones year after year. It's kind of dramatic, but it looks epic. We've recently seen more gameplay, and it's seriously impressive. You'll need to use your squad to strategically take on massive unique monsters, each with their own unique attack patterns, and it's not just about the combat. There's really a deep story here as well, with each character having their own backstories. Expedition 33 is set to drop on Xbox as a day one Game Pass title on April 24th. We are now very close to the release of another amazing day one Game Pass game in Towerborne, a seriously fun couch co-op brawler where you and your friends team up to defend your safe haven from all kinds of wild monsters. It's got that classic beat 'em up style, but with a little bit more depth. You can fully customize your character before jumping into these battles, including skills, abilities, and gear, and that means every fight's gonna feel different. On top of that, Towerborne also offers an ever-evolving world where you can explore, meet these really quirky residents of Belfry, discover new places, and team up with 3 other players for even more adventures. The devs have promised more content to come after release. This one is coming out to Game Pass on April 29th. So we do have some games this May coming out for Game Pass Standard. The first one is All You Need Is Help, which is a more cozy co-op puzzle game where you and your friends team up to solve clever puzzles together. We have Still Wakes the Deep, an amazing phobia-packed horror survival game where you try to find your way to stay alive on a crumbling oil rig. And lastly, Wargroove 2, which is an amazing tactical RPG where you battle a faction through 3 campaigns. Alright, let's move on to some future games. We have the game Revenge of the Savage Planet. This is a super hilarious action-adventure game where you play as this quirky space explorer just trying to survive on a planet full of wild and weird creatures. This game doesn't take itself seriously at all, but in a very cool way. Sure, you'll be doing things like gathering resources, exploring caves and mountains, crafting stuff, but you'll also be messing with these strange aliens using all kinds of ridiculous weapons. The best part is too that you can actually do this with a buddy by your side, and one of the things that you can do in this game too that's really neat is you can grapple an alien while the other one sets it on fire. It's just totally absurd, but it looks really fun. Revenge of the Savage Planet is set for a release on Game Pass on May 8th. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like Game Pass has just been killing it month after month. There's one big game that we're all really excited to see and our next one here for May is Doom: The Dark Ages. This is the prequel to Doom Eternal, that 2016 reboot. This time it throws you way back into the beginning, straight into a brutal medieval kind of hell, and this might be a new setting, but the gameplay still keeps that classic Doom energy alive. You'll be blasting your way through waves of demons with the iconic shotgun in hand, plus a brand new shredder shield that looks insanely fun to use. Dark Ages is going to be gritty, fast, and exactly the kind of action you'd expect from a Doom game. This prequel is set to launch on Game Pass for cloud, console, and PC on May 15. Our next game is called To a T. This is a short adventure game about a boy who's stuck in a permanent T-pose, but he's still doing his best to get through everyday tasks. It could be as simple as brushing your teeth, getting ready for school, or as complicated as facing a bunch of bullies trying to make fun of you. All these little tasks need your attention, and that's what makes this game different from others. It's not about fighting monsters, but getting through the task as someone who's different from the rest. And it's not all tough moments as well. You also get to hang out with some friends and family, listen to stories, and just enjoy some really cool small stuff. To a T is set for Game Pass on May 28th for both PC and console. So if you're into F1 racing games, I've got some awesome news. F1 25 is coming to Game Pass, and before you get too hyped though, you just know it's not the full game. What you're getting is a 10-hour trial with your Xbox Game Pass subscription, which I still think is pretty cool. You get to test it out before you buy the full game. The latest edition brings a bunch of improvements over the last entry. It's also bringing back some fan favorite content as well, like return of Breaking Point story mode. This one's going to be a must play for anyone who loves that classic F1 racing experience with some awesome visuals. You'll be able to get to test this out on May 30th. Now, if you're into simulation games, you're going to want to check out Spray Paint Simulator. This is a chill, relaxing game where your main goal is to paint all sorts of stuff like cars, houses, even giant robots. It's perfect for those who just want to kick back and just bring old rusty things back to life with a fresh coat of paint. There's no exact release date for Spray Paint Simulator, but it's set to drop in Game Pass sometime this May. Alright, so we got some cool things coming for Vampire Survivor fans out there. The devs just released a brand new expansion called Emerald Diorama, and it's free for everybody. You can jump in and all the major platforms, including Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, you can play some Vampire Survivors and get this new DLC. This is coming with a brand new co-op mode, 2 fresh adventures, a new relic, a new stage, and a ton of extra content to get into. It's already out, so if you haven't already, check it out if you want to get into it. Alright, so a game that I am such a big fan of, I am so hyped, Outer Worlds 2. Obsidian just dropped some new gameplay footage of its upcoming sequel. It's more than 10 minutes long. It shows some pretty cool gameplay features and some systems that we'll get to mess with in the sequel. This time around, it tasks you to investigate a new threat in the colony of Arcadia, and just like the first game, it looks like you're gonna have tons of choices on how to deal with this really, volatile situation, whether it's diplomacy, deception, and whatnot. If you love the first game, I loved the first game. I thought it was very underrated. There's a good chance you're gonna love this one as well. This one expected sometime to release this 2025, and it is joining as a day one Game Pass game. So back in February, we had heard some pretty cool rumors about Modern Warfare 2 coming to Game Pass, and while it just hasn't happened just yet, there's been a new development. Both Modern Warfare 2 and 3 have recently been rated by the Australian Classification Board. The interesting part is that the production year is listed as 2025. If those February rumors still hold up true, this could be a big hint that these classic COD titles might be getting an official announcement for Game Pass very soon. Hopefully it could be this month, or if not, a worst case, next month in May. Alright, so another game that I'm really looking forward to is Moonligher 2, the sequel to the 2018 roguelike adventure that I personally loved so much. This one looks seriously cool, especially the combat. You'll always have to stay alert dodging enemies while collecting loot from deep, dangerous dungeons. But there's more besides fighting. In fact, one of the best parts is running your own shop and turning it really into the heart of your town. If you played the first game, you're going to feel right at home with a bunch of fresh new content, things like new dungeons, relics, trading items, and more. You'll also unlock new weapons, armor, and even decorations to keep your customers and the townsfolk happy. Moonligher 2 is set to launch sometime this summer 2025 as a day one Game Pass release. The game The Altars finally has a release date after getting delayed a bunch of times. It is now set to hit Game Pass this June. Honestly, guys, I'm pretty excited for it because when I first saw this trailer, it looked like something totally fresh and creative. It's a third-person exploration and management style game where you play as a lone survivor stranded on an abandoned moon. But luckily, you've got these clones called Altars, thanks to some twisted tech, and each with their own personalities and abilities and emotional baggage to deal with. Now it's up to you to make them work together, gather resources, craft tools, and basically survive the nightmare. The Altars is landing on Game Pass on June 13th. Hopefully we get to see it without any more delays. So we have a really unexpected announcement game here. It's called Rematch, and it's from the creators of Sifu. Unlike that one though, Rematch is an arcadey online soccer game where you and your friends compete in some intense 5v5 matches. What's even more insane is that it doesn't have any fouls or offsides or VARs, VARs. This means that you constantly attack your rivals and just focus on scoring more goals than rules. Rematch also offers different game modes to choose between, more quick matches or super competitive ones. This game has just been announced and it's set for Game Pass on June 19th. Alright, so we have the game Witchbrook. This is a super charming life sim where you get to play as a freshy magic student starting out at a new college of witchcraft. And the first thing that caught my attention was obviously the art style. It looks absolutely adorable. It's got those like really cool cozy pixel visuals that I gotta say look really wholesome. You can play this one solo or with up to 3 friends as you explore the world, meet fellow students, build relationships, discover hidden spots, and of course learn all kinds of powerful spells to become the best witch in town. There's gonna be a lot to do in this game, and honestly this one looks like a game that could easily steal hundreds of hours of your life. Witchbrook doesn't have a release date yet, but it's currently set for winter and it's coming for Game Pass as a day one Game Pass title. And guys, finally we got the announcement. The Xbox Game Showcase is here. There's been a ton of speculation and rumors flying around, and there's definitely quite a few Game Pass titles that we want to catch a glimpse of. We do have some big titles from Microsoft, including one of the more awaited RPGs in Fable, which is expected to drop as a day one Game Pass title. Then we could also see some more, news info from Clockwork Revolution, a time-bending adventure where I've been following it for a while and it just looks really good. Then we also have another game here in Everwild and the next Gears game as well. All these big exclusives that have been quiet for some time, we're hoping to see right back in the spotlight and get to see some more info so we can check them out on Game Pass. Then of course there's big talk of an absolutely brand new Call of Duty hitting Game Pass day one. That will be massive and something that we're all going to be looking forward to. Let's not forget about the long rumored Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 remasters, which were expected to join Game Pass at some point. I'm personally waiting more news on State of Decay 3. If you guys haven't checked this out, I have a whole nother channel dedicated to covering the game where I uncover info nobody else has. My guess is we're going to see some form of news on this game sometime in June, and honestly I think this is the most anticipated zombie survival game this decade that's going to be coming out, so I'm excited for it. So yeah, this next Xbox Showcase is shaping up to be really exciting. We're not going to have to wait too long either, as it's set to be live streamed on Sunday, June 8th. And finally, we have the games leaving Game Pass on April 30th, and bummer, we are losing Sniper Elite 5 and The Last Case of Benedict Fox, 2 very excellent games, but you do get a 20% discount on these games if you want to buy them before they leave.